Shalom to Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO and National Director of the Anti-Defamation League, ADL.
Shalom, Yoni. How are you?
So I understand that from the details that you've collected, the whole political storm brought in lots of anti-Semitism.
Look, the ADL's been analyzing and responding to anti-Semitism and prejudice for over 100 years. What we've seen in recent months, particularly during this political season, are extremists and bigots exploiting social media, in particular platforms like Twitter, to spread anti-Semitism in ways we've never seen before. We did an analysis of 12 months of Twitter data, Yoni, and we found over 2.6 million anti-Semitic tweets, which highly correlated to events during the campaign. So there's a problem as we're seeing prejudice seep into our politics, and anti-Semites amplify their intolerance, exploiting the internet.
And Jonathan, which side are they coming from?
Look, extremism is a problem from the radical left as well as from the extreme right. No side has a monopoly, if you will, on bigotry. With that said, what was one of the defining characteristics of the last 12 months has been the emergence of what is sometimes referred to as the alt-right in American politics. This is an extreme right-wing subset of what we might refer to as white supremacists. And let me be clear, these are anti-Semites who might have worn hoods 50 years ago. Now they hide behind their smartphones. But these are the same techniques and the same kind of ideology that we've always known. It's just that today their tactics are different. And they're not only anti-Semitic, spreading a hatred of Jews and Israel, they are also anti-Muslim, anti-immigrant, anti-gay, homophobic. They're really the same kind of racism, which has been a strain of American society for a long time. They've just now moved into the mainstream.
And how would you characterize today's form, this form of anti-Semitism?
Well, I would characterize it like this. Again, no side has a monopoly on tolerance. So there are elements on the radical left, pro-BDS elements, who are hyper anti-Zionist and use their opposition to Israel to mask their anti-Semitism. That is an issue. What we're talking about here today is the real emergence of the extreme right. And these individuals, I mean, what we found in our analysis, Yoni, is looking at 12 months of Twitter data, as I mentioned, they have a particular animus against conservative American Jews. These are prominent Republicans or conservative opinion writers who they believe in their twisted minds are distorting conservatism. And because they're so hostile to the Jewish people, they can't countenance these individuals in the orbit of their political party. So I say this because there's a conflict here that isn't about right versus left. It's really about right versus wrong. And there's a hatred here that's not necessarily, we can just say, oh, there are elements in one side. I mean, this is a brand new side that wasn't a part of the American political conversation, or hasn't been, ever before in this way. This is new territory.
So would you today call on the leaders to take responsibility?
Well, look, I think we asked many times over the course of the campaign for all candidates to speak out against intolerance. And in fact, Hillary Clinton gave a much heralded speech against the alt-right, and Donald Trump came out and publicly disavowed anti-Semitism in any form. When the official newspaper of the KKK endorsed Donald Trump, he rejected their endorsement. And the fact of the matter is, his campaign surrogates repeatedly reminded the public that he does not countenance bigotry in any way, shape, or form. Last night, in his acceptance speech, it's notable that Mr. Trump made a point of saying now is the time to unite all Americans. And this is really a key point. The fact of the matter is there are a large number of Americans who are frustrated. Last night's election was like Brexit, American style. And there's a hardcore component of the electorate who feels left out, forgotten by Washington, and anxious about a future wherein trends like automation or globalization are leaving them behind. So I think what's notable is we as a community, the Jewish community, and we as a country here in America have a responsibility to make sure that the American dream works for everyone. And if we can deliver on that, I think it pushes prejudice back into the shadows where it belongs. When we can't deliver on that, we know, and history tells us, that bigots will exploit those insecurities and spread stereotypes, right? And create and syndicate conspiracy theories of the worst kind. That's bad for the Jewish community and bad for everyone. So we need to stand up against it.
Jonathan Greenblatt, ADL, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Yoni.